Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another podcast here from the Broadwater. We got Chris, we got Sam, we got myself, Jason, and we're here to have a bit of a chat today about some things that are going on in 2020. It's been a pretty crazy year so far, but it just seems to be getting even more and more mind-blowing
And people want
as
to
time goes on.
People want to hit the reset button on 2020. I'm loving it. I reckon
It's
great.
a very interesting time to be alive, I've got to say.
It's a sauna. It's putting people into that uncomfortable position, and it's like, well, you're going to find out who you are.
Yeah.
So how's that going to go?
Yeah.
People having to face their challenges, and a lot of people are having these weird dreams as well. Have you heard about that? Yeah,
That makes sense.
People are having like dreams of like slight anxiety or just like bad things happening and stuff like that.
Well, you can see why. It'll manifest in their heads with everything that's going on in the world.
Well,
at the moment.
their distractions have been taken away. We go through life with one giant distraction of like the cycle of work and weekends. You work hard, you get drunk on the weekends, you go out, you socialize, and you're continually communicating with people, and you're just distracting yourself from yourself, which is fine. Like that's kind of what human beings do. And it's kind of important to meditate and have time with yourself in that journey of what normal life is. But now a lot of people, they're forced to just be in that meditative state. It's like there's no distractions. It's you and your consciousness.
So it's just starting to ask you questions.
You're going to have
that you weren't asking
trauma.
yourself
Yeah.
before.
You're going to have
It's all
trauma
gonna
to,
come to the
deal
surface.
with.
Yeah.
It's going to come to the surface. So
you
how do
have
you
to
do
deal
that?
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really important to equip people with the tools to be able to deal with it, because they don't understand what's happening. They just feel anxious, and then that sort of spirals into these breakdowns. And it's like, well, if you catch it early enough, you can learn what that is. Like, the experts will say that we all carry trauma, and that's what the root cause of all these issues are. And if you can do workings on those traumas, or at least manage how they interact with your consciousness, then you're at a better odds to get through whatever you're going through.
Just before we go any further, obviously today we're going to cover a range of topics again, as discussed in our last podcast about what Broadwater is all about, and how we're trying to preach critical thinking. So what we're doing is we're just taking a few things that are happening in 2020 and just critically analyzing them and going, well, why is this happening, or why are we feeling a certain way? So just a reminder that's a bit about why we deep dive into these sort of topics and discuss them in the way we do. Interesting thing you just said there before about, it's not taught about how to deal with these things and when they're happening. Do you think, though, that, being everybody's an individual, everyone's different?
Yeah.
Does it take yourself to go through that sort of stressful phase and have maybe a panic attack or something before it even registers in your own brain that, oh, these things are actually real? Stress is real. Anxiety is real. But until you actually get to the point where it makes you physically break down, you might not actually understand how critical they are to your physical, not only physical, but mental health.
It's an understanding of your emotions
100%.
and understanding when they're actually at play in your life.
Yeah.
And then going, oh, wow,
Yeah.
I'm feeling anxious right now.
Yeah.
Why am I feeling anxious right now?
So even to try and teach somebody what anxiety is, they might not fully understand it until they go through it themselves.
Yeah.
It's like one of those building blocks where as we get older and into work life and things get stressful, you got mortgages, you got bills to pay, you got kids, all these things are starting to happen, which wasn't happening when you're younger.
Yeah.
So it takes you to go through that and realize that, oh, these things are real.
Can you remember the most common question asked in your school?
The most common question.
Miss,
asked.
why are we learning this?
Yeah.
Why are we learning this? What am I going to do with the Laplace transform? Like, why are we learning this?
Yeah.
It's like, you raise a very valid
Why do I need
point.
to know Pythagoras?
And it's like, well, talk to someone who's 85, 90 years old that's gone through life. They see the bigger journey of it, and they've got a much broader perspective of what's important. They're the ones that should be sort of writing the blueprints of our education system in a way, like having a massive influence on what that looks like. So it's like, you're going to learn something today because you're going to need it in the future, or you may never need it. But the time it's going to take me to teach you this, and the value it's going to have, and the likelihood that you're going to need it, there's these ratio factors to implement. So it's like when you're talking to a 16-year-old that's never had any kind of anxiousness, that their world's just perfect. It's like, great. So this is mindfulness, and this is how you deal with like when you get afraid, have panic attacks and things like that, and they're just like, we have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly.
I don't need to learn that.
Yeah.
And it's
So-
like, well, eventually.
Yeah, but it's hard
might
though,
have too
because
much
like
coffee.
you tell a 16-year-old kid to try and picture their life 20 years into the future and go, well, you're going to need this. They're going to go, well,
I
I'm
don't
not even,
care.
I don't care.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I'm saying
I
is,
just wanna
it's
go
like,
ride
how
my
do
bike
we,
and kick
How
some
do you
ass.
sugarcoat it?
how do we,
Yeah.
in a way, yeah, like
Yeah.
how do we penetrate their minds when they haven't actually experienced something before? How do we do
Disney,
that?
Disney do that. Like, it's the stories in the Bible.
But
It's
in
like
a positive
you
way,
sugarcoat-
not in a negative
you
way.
sugarcoat the medicine. A teaspoon of sugar helps the medicine go down. It's like you make it entertaining. You
Yeah.
find different ways to
Children's
educate.
books,
like Dave
with-
Powter-Bain.
Yeah, he's writing children's books
Yeah.
on the bullying side
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Exactly.
That's really good. Really good ideas.
Mm.
So it plants a seed. Like, I think his objective is planting the seed in the child's mind as well as the adults. So everyone wins and everyone gets a lesson and everyone can learn and develop. But yeah, we'll have to chat to him about
I was going to say, this is a very, very actually important topic. Maybe we should have a chat with this guy.
Yeah.
Mm.
We'll see if we can get him on.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because actually I saw him. I follow him on Instagram, and he actually dresses up as like a superhero and goes to kids' schools and teaches them about like self-confidence and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So maybe it takes like adapting that method to teach them about things that are very important as young adults, like
Yeah.
mental
Yeah.
health and physical
Yeah.
health and all that sort of stuff. Because we're not receptive to things when we're younger if we're just told what to do.
Yeah.
You need to realize it in your own sort of way.
Mm.
So it's all about breaking down that barrier to
Yeah.
knowledge when you're a kid.
Is it
Yeah.
is it Jordan Peterson that sort of breaks down different Disney movies and the messages in them?
I'm not
he
sure.
does
I've
that with
heard a lot
Pinocchio.
about Disney.
He talks about Pinocchio a lot.
Because I think
Yeah.
like that is a massive factor.
Yeah.
Like this does happen. We do get sort of taught really important things in life through entertaining
Mm.
things like
think
cartoons.
about all the ancient cultures and indigenous cultures. They
All
pass on
storytelling.
all their knowledge through stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, storytelling.
Sitting around a campfire, telling all the stories.
Yeah.
And then those stories have the hidden belief systems
Mm.
and the culture.
Yeah.
Maybe
that passes
it even comes down to like gaming. Like maybe it comes
sure.
down to making subliminal
That's a
messaging in
great
gaming.
idea.
Because they
And
are
it probably
focused.
happens.
They are trying to achieve something.
Yeah.
They are locked the fuck in when they are on their little PlayStation.
Mm.
Maybe you make the objectives in a game
Yeah.
so subliminal but so positive
Mm.
for their growth. It actually changes the mind of how they think, but in a
And
good way.
It
Yeah.
happens, and,
Yeah.
and it's a part of propaganda, for lack of a better word. It's like all these things that we have in our life, video games and movies and the like, they go through a machine, and there's a narrative that kind of aligns with big picture agendas,
Mm.
potentially. Like you're playing a game like COD, who's the enemy? Who are you shooting in that game?
Yeah.
You know, you go back, like COD's been around for what, maybe 20 years or so, and it's the enemy in COD has always been
Whoever
the
America's
enemy
at war
of the
with.
Americans at the time. And it's like, you could say, yeah, but that's just to make the game realistic. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, but it does normalize a lot of things.
Yeah, but then you get something like Halo. Then it's like the enemy is just some like
It's aliens.
It's
Aliens.
They're
Aliens are
prepping us,
real.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
Aliens
prepping
are
us.
real.
Well, speaking of that,
UFOs are out there.
I mean, how is that just
compared
not
the
being...
amount, I'm just going to put it out there, the amount of news that has come out since our last podcast talking about UFOs, which is one of our first ones, which was only about 10 weeks ago.
it's been pretty crazy.
How much news has now come out about
Heaps.
aliens being real and UFOs and
like,
all this stuff?
credible
Yeah.
sources.
Credible sources, Pentagon
Formal
files
releases.
coming out and being
Yeah.
released
And
to the public.
Like, we actually don't know what this object is.
And the thing that's...
this
that-
was not
that's
made on our planet.
Yeah.
like one of the crazy factors is it's not on the 24/7 news cycle at the sort of expectant rate that you
Yeah, it's
you'd
been,
think it
fucking-
would
it's
be.
been
It's like-
slipped
be.
in under
Just-
everything else.
Yeah. Like when you're growing up and you're real young, you're like, man, imagine if aliens are real. And like,
Yeah.
Like the
what are they
world
gonna,
would
like-
just flip upside down. Everyone
Yeah.
would go crazy.
But now it's
But
like,
now it's
oh,
like,
well, yeah,
well, yeah,
actually, you
okay.
know, there's aircraft that's not from this planet. We don't really know what it is. And everyone's sort of like focused on all these other movements.
they're like,
and
we have to
COVID
wear
and-
masks?
Yeah.
What? I'm not wearing a mask. It's
Yeah.
like,
oh,
no,
the toilet paper's out again?
Yeah.
dude, they
What?
just said there was a space.
Oh, there's a
ship.
protest to
Like,
go to. Let's go.
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, I think they've timed that well.
It's the perfect timing.
It's perfect timing.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. People are already in a state of fear
But
and a state of
Fact.
confusion.
Fact.
and a
state
state
of-
of control.
Yeah,
Yep.
You
exactly.
know, everyone's
Sit
sort
down
of
at that
corded
bar.
off.
Don't
and-
stand up at your seats. You got to sit
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Scan the QR code, sign
Yeah.
in before you come in.
Like if I was the alien being of superior intelligence and I wanted to eventually introduce myself to these monkeys that I've been studying for thousands of years, who I used to have a closer relationship with and we haven't talked for a while, it's like, well, how can we safely introduce ourselves? they could be, you know, this is a perfect rollout for that. Just strangely, it's like, well, let's, you know, get everyone into a calmer, controlled state, and then we can educate.
It's like when you've been in the sauna, and you go and then go jump in a very cold pool. Your mind suddenly stops thinking about whatever the hell you were thinking about, and it's suddenly open to things. You just take in information because your body's in shock.
Yeah.
Humankind has just been shocked by coronavirus. And now new information's
sauna.
coming in about UFOs and aliens, and we're going, oh yeah, I'm open
We're
to
not
that.
reacting.
We're not reacting crazily.
Crazily.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Everyone's already in that
Go on.
state of
Yeah,
mind.
go on.
What else we got?
I'm kind of intrigued. It's
Yeah.
different news to what I've been seeing.
And just
Yeah.
Tell
just
me
on
about
the
it.
just on the
Yeah.
news though, it's pretty crazy like how when you connect the dots of like what Bob Lazar was saying in the 80s to be accurate. Like all of the things that were so futuristic in the time, like it's a very creative mind to kind of imagine the stories he was telling, and then science and other discoveries, formal discoveries have eventually caught up, and it's like you've really got to take his story as, you know, I believe it more now than ever.
Has a lot of merit now.
A lot of
And what was
Or-
one of his theories? What was his most prominent theory?
Well, he talked about the element 151, which I understand it as it can control light, which is just an absolute game changer in science because all of our physics and even astrophysics and all of our science is based on, you know, E equals MC squared.
Yeah.
Light is consistent. If
Yeah.
light's not consistent, life isn't consistent. Time isn't
Time
consistent.
doesn't exist without light.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
The measurement of time is
The speed of
in
light.
the
Yeah.
consistency of light. So, yeah, it's it's
Hmm.
it could mean like time travel, control of gravity, anti-gravity, and the way he was describing the spaceship and how it moves was like it displaces gravity. And then when the air pilots that were describing watching the spaceships, that's how they described it. It was like it would just go into water and displace the water. There was no like wave or splash. It was just displacement. And it
No
would
jet
move
engine, no
as if
thrust or
gravity
nothing.
wasn't
It just
affecting on it, and it
yeah.
would just go on its side and then
wow.
off at the speed of light. And then like they had a rendezvous point they
crazy.
were heading to, and the spaceship appeared there, like the radars detected it at that rendezvous point and then left. And they're like, how did they know that was the rendezvous point? That's a future thing. So it kind of opens up the idea that maybe they can manipulate time as well.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's interesting.
Listen to Joe Rogan and Post Malone's almost 4-hour podcast the other night. It was fascinating. Like obviously there was a lot of shit talking.
Oh,
but like
yeah.
the bits of like
You get that though. They were on mushrooms.
yeah, and probably other things.
Yeah. Or Posty lit up a few spliffs.
But like some of the key things they were talking about there, like and this being one of them, the UFOs and aliens and all that sort of thing. It's fascinating that like, you know, we are three just random dudes talking out on our small little shitty podcast, talking about the exact same things the biggest podcaster in the world is talking about. And I just find it so fascinating that in today's society with technology and everything being the same, we can all talk about the same thing at the same time. Ciphering that information out, because you're seeing like them talk about like what they're talking about, and there's going to be like so many opinions and so many agrees or disagrees, you know, on what they're talking about. Is that almost getting to a dangerous point?
I think it's great. But
I think it's good
it
for
needs,
critical
it needs
thinking.
To be, it needs to be understood
Yeah.
and used better. Like
Yeah.
people use social media as a garbage disposal. It's like where they put their worst version of themselves in a sense of when they're commenting and influencing other people's lives. Like they'll put the best version of their life on social media, but their worst personality traits come out when they're interacting with complete strangers with no human connection.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, I'm feeling crap, I'm going to put a negative comment on this. And that's changing. Like people are understanding the damage that's doing, and the
Yeah.
online world is becoming a lot more kinder, and people are becoming a lot more kinder. But yeah, it definitely warrants a bit of
Critical thinking.
critical thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
But
Definitely
I'm
agree with
excited
that.
for it, and I think like there will be a time where we all have that connection, and all information
Yeah.
is there, and that will eliminate corruption. It'll bring us closer together as human beings because it just makes us more
Transparent.
vulnerable and honest.
Transparency as well.
Yeah.
It makes you realize what's actually going on,
Yeah.
and it allows you to pull the curtain aside and just see the inner workings of, you know, how everything goes down.
what's that hacking agency that wears the masks? The
Anonymous.
Anonymous, yeah.
I reckon there'd be a team like that working on something like this, where their mission statement is to unclassify every single bit of information. And they'll be like, trust me, it's for the better of the world. It'll be like a Band-Aid.
And they just roll it out. This is
be
everything you've sent.
pretty
This is
difficult at the
everything
start,
you've said.
but all the big picture things that are wrong with the world today, and a lot of that is corruption, all of those big picture things go away. And that could be what heals the world. When we know everything and we can decide and say, well, let's fix this, let's fix this, let's fix this. Let's make this more fair, let's make this more ethical, and you don't have that greed-driven decision-making. It's all what the government try to do. The government try to do that. They try to say, you as the majority of people, we're your representation, what do you want? But it just gets a bit squirrely with like capitalism and other agendas coming
Greed,
in
power.
and corrupting decisions.
Yeah. I think Mark Cuban actually started a company, so like for what you were saying, Sam, where like say Facebook or Snapchat or whatever will leak everyone's data and just be like, hey world, this is what everyone's been saying and doing over the last 20 years. He's got a platform where it's like, I think it's all encrypted and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And all your data is just your data. No one can get
Yeah,
it.
no, I get that.
Yeah.
That's I have a friend who's a software engineer, very clever dude. We should get him on the podcast one time.
Yeah, that'd be good.
He works for an AI company. Extremely clever. He knows a lot of things. It'd be so interesting to talk to him about these sorts of concepts.
Yeah.
About how to change the way data's managed.
Yeah, and how what is possible? What is possible right now
Yeah.
if that was the decision to
And
be
will
made?
all
What's our capability with
Will all
AI?
that data be used into the AI platform or into the AI space?
Yeah.
All that data that we're putting out into these social medias, is that generating
But
an
if you did
artificial
that,
consciousness?
if you did that, like what Mark Cuban's suggesting, that your data is yours, you own it, and it's encrypted, like Facebook can't collect your data anymore. There goes Facebook. Like
Yeah.
Facebook's fucked. If that happens.
Yeah, there goes a huge currency that we never really realised we were giving away.
Yeah.
Our data.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see how much money portion for that company is selling our data versus selling.
Oh, huge amount. I would say most of it.
Yeah.
Like Facebook, literally think of Facebook as like the skin that it has is what's being marketed to the public.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just the fucking tip of the iceberg. You see like, oh, you can like a picture and do this and have all these cool features like Marketplace. It's just a little tip of this iceberg. What they actually do, what Facebook actually does, is like this massive iceberg.
Where are
under
you?
here.
Where are you spending money?
Yeah.
What are your eyeballs looking at? What
Yeah.
do you hover over, and what do
Yeah.
you keep scrolling? When
Yeah.
do you buy things? What are your decision points for
Yeah.
buying things? Like these AIs know more about your
Yeah.
typically your spending habits, but
Mm.
know more about you than you
Yeah.
know about yourself.
Yeah.
Well, now also they're bringing out all the tracking of your fitness. So you'll have like a Whoop band.
Your heart rate.
Yeah, your heart rate variability. So with all of that,
Harley's
too,
on a Sunday.
I don't blame them. It's a good day.
It is a
It's
good day.
Beautiful day for
Yeah.
a ride.
It's a good day. There's a heap of boats out there.
Yeah.
Go for a swim later.
Yeah, I was thinking that. But yeah, like what I was saying is they're tracking all your heart rate variability, all of that. So that I'm sure when you sign up to that, they'll be like, oh, something about the data and whatnot. And then all of that data's stored, and then they're learning about you as a person in your physical form.
Yeah.
Or what's his physical capabilities.
Yeah.
Like what can he do? Is he healthy? Is he not healthy? Will he be on these meds soon? Or will he need that? Or will he live this long, that long?
Imagine
And
being
then
able to.
how do we sell stuff to that
Imagine-
person?
I have a very pro aspect of all this stuff. Like
Yeah.
I sometimes get a bit paranoid with it all, but I have a very pro
Yeah.
aspect because I can see the changes in leadership and control aspects of humanity.
I can too.
Like
I
when
can see it.
we're moving away from, like, to put it to the extreme, like in the year 1000 where there's a king and everyone serves the king
Yeah.
for the good of the king, we're moving away from that, and it's more about humanizing everything, and it's treating people like a human being, and me as one human, I see another human and go, I want to teach you everything I know that I've found to be good and grow you to be a better human than I am, and then you can teach me to be a better human through that.
The way
And
I
you-
see
you're
it is
seeing that in corporate. You're seeing it in a lot of like big agencies.
Yeah.
Like that is the new education
yeah,
of
yeah,
how
yeah.
to lead
Yeah.
and set up
cultural
companies,
fit
ethical-
and company culture is
ethical
becoming
companies.
like exponentially more important.
And it's
very
harnessing
quickly.
the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
It's like, and you can see this change in the influencer space and everything. It's like we're putting positive messages out there, similar to like what this podcast is
like
doing.
what we're doing.
Like
pretty much.
it's happening around a lot of different businesses and
Yeah.
influential aspects. It's like the world's changing for better. We just need to
Yeah.
be focusing on that and not just talking about the same 3 news cycles of fear
Yeah,
and crap
fact.
that
Yeah.
everyone gets miserable when they're staring at their screen. It's
Yep,
like
yep.
either put your screen down or follow something else on there that sends that more positive message.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's like more decentralized systems are growing in the space, like peer-to-peer. So me to you, like Uber, your Airbnb.
And this is where I was
all
going.
these sort of businesses are coming and like everyone's sort of working
Yeah.
together to.
Yeah.
It's like a hive.
And this is where I was going with that whole, like, everybody's eyes are on sort of like Joe Rogan as a podcaster at the moment. Like, is getting away from that, like, sort of top-down media.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
decentralized.
Feeding you. It's decentralizing
Yeah.
what people are consuming. in
Everyone
terms
would
of
rather
content,
listen to those
listening to them.
perspectives.
It's changed the
Because
game.
they're real.
It's
They're
changed the
real.
game for good. Like
Yeah.
you're taking away the ability of corruption,
Yeah.
where you're Fox and you have to support the left because you're Fox, or however,
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
left or
yeah,
right.
yeah.
It takes that away
Yeah.
because eventually, as time goes by, those capitalist models get corrupted because
yeah.
they need the money to maintain
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, to maintain competitiveness.
Yep.
So they're
Whereas,
so
whereas like with like Joe Rogan, just as an example, like it's fully transparent. Like
uncorruptible.
it's uncorruptible. Like
Yeah.
everybody knows he makes money as a podcast. He
Yeah.
just like he sold all of his to Spotify for $100 million.
Mm.
Everyone's like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good, bro, awesome. Like there's no
Yeah.
hidden agenda. Like
No
everybody
way.
knows that he's got
And-
sponsors and,
and the-
ads to make money, and like it's
Yeah.
there's no hiding nothing. He's not
Yeah.
greedy.
The
It's like,
beauty is there could be another Joe Rogan
yeah,
today, tomorrow, or whatever.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take money to set up, so
Yeah.
it
Mm.
doesn't have that corruptible
Yeah.
path.
And the
like
votes are
a
the views.
politician.
Yeah.
he got to the where that is because everybody was watching him and everybody
Exactly.
like liked what he was saying.
Yeah.
That's the new type of like, instead of like having politicians being voted in and you got to go do this, it's like, no, dude,
It's
you just got to like
You got
say
the most
your
votes
opinion,
on
you're your
YouTube,
person,
so
you
you
got
got
the
the
most
social-
likes on
yeah.
YouTube.
it's the
you're-
social capitalist model.
Yeah,
It's like a pure form of popularity.
yeah,
Mm.
It's like if you're good and you're spreading the right word or the unbiased word or whatever, people are voting with their
Yeah.
eyeballs.
yeah,
They're not getting, marketing can come into play and the like, and you can sort of get,
yeah.
feed
But
out
also as
different
humans,
paths,
everybody
but-
understands you got to make bread. You got to. Everyone's here like you need money to survive on this planet.
Yeah, you
like,
do.
So no one
At the end of
judges.
the day, yeah, you got to
Yeah.
make money from what you're doing.
Yeah,
But yeah, that whole decentralized concept, it's happening
Yeah.
everywhere.
It's
like
happening everywhere. It's happening.
the
now.
Uber concept.
It's going to
Yeah.
be bigger and better into the future.
Yeah,
I'm so excited. I'm so excited to be
It's good.
alive right now.
it's good.
It's a very interesting time to be alive.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I mean, we
I-
were out like last night. And
Yeah.
It's an interesting time to go out and socialise. Like in Queensland, we don't have the strict lockdowns at the moment. It's
Yeah.
probably coming.
Yeah.
It'd be
And
interesting to see
oh
what
god,
the-
geez. Also, thoughts go out to everybody sitting in Victoria right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Sydney.
Rough. Rough.
I got friends down there who's stuck. They're in lockdown, and it's the mood. Like the first lockdown, everyone was like, this is gonna sound really stupid, but everyone was like, oh, something different.
Yeah, it was kind of a
It was
bit
kind
of
of
a
always
breath
like,
of
yeah,
fresh air.
yeah, everyone's
in
like,
a
oh,
way,
cool,
of
I can work from home. Like
the crazy
yes.
freight
Yeah,
train.
this would be
just
cool. This would be
slowed
different.
down
The
a bit.
mood down there apparently is just, dude. It's getting to the point where like, whoa, okay, reality's kicking in. Businesses are now shuttering.
Yeah.
I'm stuck inside again. I actually can't go out, and I want to go out now.
Yeah.
The mood's not very good.
Especially all the restaurants and places like that
and it's
bought all
winter.
this
Yeah.
stock.
And everybody is just so fed up at the premiere.
It's not an easy
Yeah,
job.
Not good for business,
So
not
like
good
the
for
whole,
mentality.
it's a very toxic environment down there at the moment. It just sounds horrible.
But it takes people to rise up above that too and try
Yeah.
and just
I would-
spread that positivity
I would
there.
recommend.
Exactly.
I would recommend everyone down there do yoga in the morning.
Yeah,
You got the time.
yeah,
just do yoga
Yeah.
in the morning.
yeah.
It's like, what can we do to improvise to keep that interaction at a level where, you won't be anxious, you don't feel
Yeah.
alone. It's
Yeah.
like, I know everyone uses Zoom and all that, but why don't they have like Zoom yoga? Set
I think
that
I
up?
think
Like
they do.
that
I think companies
concept
innovate and they start doing that.
Of,
like it's,
of COD. Like, it's
Yeah.
a social platform. It's
Yeah.
a
It is.
genuine social platform
Yeah.
now with the headsets.
Yeah.
Nothing's
Like,
changed
you
with the
catch up
gamers'
with your
lives. The
mate.
gamers are like,
And
this
you're
is
just,
sick.
you're
Yeah.
just chatting
Yeah.
about everything as
Yeah.
you're playing. It's like it's a social hub, and
Yeah.
it feels like you've just been sitting around talking because the headphones. It's like they're in your ears. Like it's such a it's a pretty good way to communicate.
Yeah.
I think other platforms will start to do that. Maybe even Netflix. It's like, hey, let's watch this show. All right, and you just got headphones on, talking during the show, and it's like they're in another town, another part of the world.
Yeah.
But you're having like a telephone conversation because for some reason it's like people don't just ring up people and talk anymore. They do, but it's nowhere near as common. And it's like we kind of need that game of footy to be on as an excuse to catch up or whatever. So it's like, if we did that, it's like, hey, I'm going to watch this on Netflix tonight. Do you want to watch it
together?
And then we'll
I think
do that,
I think they're working on a feature where you can actually do that.
I think you
it
can.
makes sense. I think
a
lot of entertainment
they're
platforms
creating like a
will do
chat
it.
room, but like for movies.
Yeah,
Do you know
you
what I
can
mean?
do it at the moment, I think.
Yeah, I've never tried it. I'm sure it exists. I swear I read somewhere that you can do that.
Yeah.
Or
But
I saw someone share their screen in a Zoom or something, and they watched a film together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, people do that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I've
whether
watched
I'm
a couple
getting-
of fights in the past, or the
Yeah.
AFL Grand Final, things
Yeah.
like that. It's like
It's a good hack.
it's a good hack.
I've been on the phone before to Shantina, and I think she'd be away. She was in Melbourne or something for a couple of days, where we would literally watch the same movie at the same time, and we were on the phone together, but like we weren't talking. It was just.
It's
It
a
was nice to be
connectivity.
knowing that, like,
They're there.
normally you would be watching a movie together right
Yeah.
now. But
It's
and,
a
they're
human
kinda there.
trait.
Yeah.
It's almost like a what were we sort of saying yesterday? It's like we tend to justify our existence with those connections between human beings, and that's just a form of doing that, and it's an important form of being a human being. It's justifying your own sanity, your
Yeah.
own sense of existence.
Yeah, exactly.
And people are losing that.
Yeah.
Like people are being isolated and losing all of those things that make them a human being, and then they're kind of shrinking down into that self-reflection, but in a time and state where they're not having all these positive influences. It's
Yeah.
all negative influences. So it's a dangerous time for a lot of people to just be in an anxious state of mind and having to address themselves.
Yeah.
It sucks.
I think
so I think
something-
like opening up like communication amongst human beings
Yeah,
in those
definitely.
lockdown situations, any way you can do it.
Yeah.
And something
It's
we can all do too is like on your social media, just post some positive stuff. Like
Yeah, big
recently,
time.
I've
Yeah.
been
Oh,
posting
you've been
lot
on a
of-
roll, bro.
Yeah, I've
it's,
just been
it's
posting
been great.
a lot of positive stuff just
Yeah.
because of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And I know there's
Yeah.
a lot of people in headspaces.
It makes a
that
difference.
shouldn't
It
need
does
to
make
be.
a difference.
It does.
It's
Like,
like you might read something.
I don't say anything, but
not
like in
take
the
anything
mornings,
out.
like I see you've posted a story, and I'm like, oh, sweet. What's my little note for today? Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Like,
it motivates to just be like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to go do that.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's something where it won't apply to you, but someone I always get a message from someone saying thanks.
yeah, like I
That
needed
was-
that.
I needed
That's
that.
great.
Yeah. And it's crazy. It's such a simple thing to do.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
yeah, it's so.
And it doesn't need to be yours. You just go to someone else's
Yeah.
page,
Yeah.
and then if it inspires you a little bit,
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
oh wow, that's
Yeah.
a cool perspective.
Yeah.
Just share it.
Yeah.
It's just sharing the
Share
good
it.
word.
It's just sharing the good word.
Yeah.
Spread
I mean,
the word.
Like
Yeah.
everything we say is pretty
Simple.
much repeated from someone else. You're just like,
Yeah.
hey, I like
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna retain
I'm
that
going to share this
information
with
and
other
share
people
it.
I know because it made me feel good. So hopefully I can make them feel good.
Yeah, that's right.
100%. So yeah, if you are sitting in Victoria and you're listening in, try and stay positive. Ring us up, send us a picture. If we can help you in any single way to just try and be positive in your day-to-day life, just hit us up.
Reach out to people that are in your community, and
Yeah.
Especially if you're stuck on a yacht, Nick.
Oh, what a life! Yeah,
Man.
but I think he's actually going to have to. So Nick, by the way, our guest Nick Jones, he's been successful in getting another contract captaining a super yacht down in Melbourne.
what a life.
So he's
And,
just stuck on this super yacht for 3 weeks. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, it sucks. No, but he's actually going to have to, him and his whole team, because I think they're trying to, their goal is to get out of Melbourne and then come and do the next couple of months sort of here and then Whitsundays kind of thing.
Nice.
I think they're going to have to quarantine in New South Wales for a couple of weeks, him and the whole crew on one boat for a couple of weeks. That's
I
going to
mean,
be tough.
Yeah.
That's pretty like for a boat people. That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's their bread and butter.
Yeah, but to live in close quarters with like a
That'd
few
be
people
interesting.
for
It'd be
weeks.
a good TV show.
It'd
actually.
be
Yeah.
interesting.
Make it like a little Big Brother or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just put cameras everywhere and stream it on Twitch.
Just don't
Yeah.
shit where you eat.
Oh, that could be funny if you just had a house, like everyone just set cameras in their houses and.
I'd love to see all these like goofy, cheap TV shows pop up everywhere,
Yeah.
and people that are home, isolated or whatever, just have just a wide array of trash to watch. And eventually, one of them's like, "Hey, this works. This is a personality for a show," and then this show just blows up.
Well, I'm pretty sure that happens with YouTube. It's basically like the
Yeah.
same thing. People
Yeah.
just create their own shit, and then again, whatever's popular rises to the top.
Yeah.
That's. We've said this
Social
before. It's
capitalism.
basically like a cross section of our society at this point in time is whatever's
Yeah.
popular.
Yeah.
Not what the news is telling us, because that's all retarded.
Yeah.
But like what we are actually viewing, what we are liking, that basically sets the bar for what us as a society and humanity in 2020
Yeah.
is looking at,
Yeah.
which is what's popular.
Yeah. Which there's a lot about Kanye West at the moment.
Oh my goodness. I've seen some funny memes.
I've seen a lot of funny.
Yeah,
memes.
it's classic. Everybody, oh yeah, he's running for president. Do you remember when his last album came out and he wanted to borrow money from Mark Zuckerberg? It was all just a thing, just all to get him into the press before he dropped a new album.
I mean, he could just be a social media genius.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his marketing team is on fire.
He's
Yeah.
saying he's the dude out of. They treat him like the dude out of Get Out. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
I'm
Jeez.
just like, damn, man, that's rough.
Yeah, I saw this one thing he did with who's that chubby guy that does the carpool karaoke?
James
Oh,
Corden.
yes.
James Corden, sorry.
Corden. Yeah, he did like a carpool karaoke in a plane with Kanye West.
I saw that. It was
And had
actually beautiful.
Kanye
Was
West
it good?
choir.
Yeah, it was
Oh.
And he
beautiful,
was
bro.
talking about how he wants to just start a church and,
Yeah,
and bring
yeah.
all the good words
Yeah,
from what
yeah.
he takes away from religion
Yeah.
into this and cultivate it. And I was like,
He's had an
Wow.
awakening.
Yeah.
Kanye.
it was
Yeah.
beautiful to watch. And then the actual singing and everything, all the gospel
yeah,
singing.
I was like,
It was
wow.
amazing.
Mm.
I was
Yeah.
like, wow, he's done a complete 180.
Oh, he has, and that's what really hits him in the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah,
I
that
never
was-
really
it was
knew
beautiful,
Kanye
yeah.
before sort of all of this, to be
Man,
honest with you.
he dropped
Mm.
that album, like, was it 12, 15
I've always
years ago.
known his music, but I never
It
really
was
followed him and what he was
Incredible.
doing.
As a person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's
no,
got
not-
those
not me either.
Yeezys, those shoes.
yeah, he's done extremely well out of that. I think that's and obviously it's his highest revenue source is just Yeezys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
His very small. It's either a profit share or ownership in like the Yeezy brand.
Damn.
Well, they're like $700 a
Yeah,
pair,
they're
aren't they?
expensive. Yeah.
Are they comfortable? Have you ever worn any?
I've only ever bought fakes.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never and they were pretty good fakes. They lasted a long time. But like to go and spend that sort of money on shoes, I can't justify it.
Yeah.
I just cannot justify it.
Yeah, I don't really. I have to ask people for fashion. I don't really get it.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of get it.
We'll
I
have to
think
get
some
some
things look good.
I get it.
People on
But
the
the
podcast.
whole trending and
Yeah.
this is the thing now. I'm like,
Yeah.
but that looks silly.
Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna wear that.
But that's the thing. When it comes to fashion, it's all about who you are as a person. Like you can dress RM Williams stuff, like cowboy gear, or you can dress like Kanye West, like all the baggy stuff, or you could go and dress like a clown. Who cares?
Mm.
It's all about your
quality
perception
of that
of
version.
what you want.
Yeah.
So just because like some guy who's a bit artsy is saying that, oh, this Versace shirt that's $700 is fashion, you don't have to agree with that.
Mm.
You can just go and get your
But it's
Ralph Lauren
amazing.
polo and be like, nah, this is what I like.
It's amazing how much it influences the narrative, though. If
Mm.
you're wearing that shirt and people know it, and people do know it, and I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah.
but people do know it. So when I put on like an Armani suit, it demands that kind of
Yeah.
attention from people. Like I
Exactly.
borrowed a suit from my brother, and I just felt like a different person just by the way which people were treating me because I was in an Armani suit, and I was just like, wow, I feel like a boss. In this.
Yeah.
And it kind of changes you.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah. It's true though. You do put on a suit and you're like,
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
feels
strange.
good.
It's-
It does feel good.
It's quite funny. Was it you? I was talking, like, I think it was the other night we were
Yeah.
out. We actually had this conversation.
Yeah.
And we were with another mate of ours, and he even said, he was like, well, if you go to a meeting in a suit or in a t-shirt, is that really going to change the outcome of the meeting? And then I said, I literally
Absolutely.
sat back and I went, actually, probably not. Like, if
I think it does.
you reckon it does?
I think it does, and if it does, you're in the wrong meeting. But I think it does.
Yeah.
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 I honestly like you're in the wrong meeting if
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
But it does.
Because you're meant to flex
Nine
your
times out
brain.
of
You're
10.
not meant to flex
Yeah,
your
but
suit.
the world we live in, why do
Yeah.
people buy half the
'Cause
shit they
first
buy?
first impressions
True.
first impressions are so important, and a
Yeah.
lot of like, there's a lot of psychological hacks in that. It's like
Mm.
people do things, the peacocking and all that sort of stuff, for that first impression differentiation,
Mm.
and fashion's a massive factor of that. Like you said it
Yeah.
6 or 8 weeks ago, you were
Mm.
like, the way you dress and present yourself is a
Mm.
flagship of who you are as a person.
It is. Like, and I still think it is. But, like, That's just going around your community and stuff and whatever. It's like you're representing what you think.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. But I was more talking about like when you're actually sitting in a meeting and you're both there to not talk or see your clothes. You're there to talk about a concept or an idea or like something in business. Why should me wearing a t-shirt change?
But whether or not you brushed
perception
your
of that?
hair is going to factor into their perception of who you are as a person for that meeting. How much effort did you put into to present the best version of yourself for this meeting?
Yeah.
They're going to use that as a measurability
sure.
of how much you're going to suit to this company.
I think that's changing.
And it's like, are you wearing a baseball t-shirt?
I think
Because
that's changing.
5 of my team members love baseball.
Yeah.
And I've got mates that are pretty casual and highly intelligent, and they've done really well in meetings in the t-shirt version of it, not the suit. It's changing because people are becoming more human in their business development. It's like, well, hang on, that interface is so damn important to create the right team.
Yeah.
So when I interview you, I'm not just going to go, okay, what was your last job? What are your technical skills, and what are you wearing? Okay, great. They're going to ask
wearing a
these
suit?
expansive
Tick.
psychological questions to say, are you going to fit the model of this company?
Yeah.
Like, and I've seen it in action with a HR lady that I worked with. She was brilliant. Like, she just completely broke down the narrative and had this conversation and could walk out knowing that person so well and how, if or not they would fit in the team that we were trying to build. It completely like changed my perception of what modern day corporate success looks like for a business. It's so human based.
It's so different. Yeah.
You know what was funny? I just had a thought now. When I went to work over in New Zealand, I actually had long hair. I grew my hair out.
I remember that.
Yeah,
You got any
just
photos? I haven't seen
I
it.
do have a photo. It's pretty funny actually. And anyway, so when I went there, I didn't really think much of it because I was just like, whatever. I'm just gonna grow my hair out once, see what it looks like, cut it off. They all saw me with long hair, and I didn't think anyone would be judging me or anything because everyone sort of seemed alright and whatever. I think I had long hair for maybe, let's say, 2.5 months. I cut it off. I just obviously didn't tell anyone, thought nothing of it. Just go get a haircut, just cut like this pretty much. And everyone's like, whoa. That, like, they were really hit by it. And then people, when I'd walk past them, would treat me differently.
Yeah.
And they, like, people that usually would just walk past and say nothing would be like, oh, hey, how you going today?
Weird.
Or I'd go to a meeting and people would look at me and acknowledge me more and like talk to me. Like before the meeting, they'd be like, oh, hey, how you going? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But before, you wouldn't really get that.
It's
There was like a
culture.
lot more
It's
interaction, and I was like,
It's like
this
a-
is different.
It's like a face tattoo. It's
It was
like,
enough to notice where I was like, after this haircut, things are actually different.
yeah.
And it was weird. It's just because all those people only ever met me with long hair, and then once I got the slicker cut,
It's
they
it's
just had
kind of
that
like
judgment of like, who's this like
Yeah.
looking dude, like,
we're judging people for judging people by the way they look in this discussion, and it's like we all do it, and there's a reason we all do it. It's like, well, how else are you gonna judge them? It's like that's just what our brain does. It just gets all the information it can and then processes it and then fills in the blanks. So it's like people are gonna judge you by the way you look, and it's like you might get to know people more over a duration, and their information to judge you changes. But that initial
I suppose
judgment
you're right.
is based on
how you look
most of the
or
time
how you
looks.
sound or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
100%. I think it does have something to play there.
So I should probably put more effort into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like when you think about it, like it's all just from the day you're born, your brain just stores that data. Through the movies I've watched, oh, the long-haired dude was a hippie. The guy I've seen on the street, he has long hair. Oh, he's a hippie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I see you with long hair. You're a smart dude, but like in my mind, I'm like, oh, he's a hippie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like your brain just automatically goes to just that connection point of what data you've stored there, and just gone stereotype.
Like
Yeah.
I was on a
It just
Consciously
pulls
too.
that stereotype without you even realizing, and then the
Yeah.
judgment forms.
I was on a
Yeah.
training course, and I was chatting to a guy at the end of it. It was like a couple of weeks training course, and he's like, you know, when I first saw you, I just thought you'd be a bit of a meathead, like, you know, not that intelligent and not that, you know, talking about feelings and things like that. But you know, getting to know you over the couple of weeks, it's been fantastic. It's been great. It's sort of changed my preconception of you know, that judgment factor of thinking, oh, he's a meathead.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I was kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Like,
Thanks,
So
mate.
there you go. There's a quick tip to trying to you know, cultivate that own positivity in your life. Don't judge too quickly.
judge with good
Yeah,
judgment.
sure.
Good judge with good
Judge
judgment.
with good judgment.
Yeah.
And like we're saying, like, it doesn't really like what you were saying, like it doesn't really so matter what you wear, but like where does it stop? It's like, okay, he's wearing a baggy shirt, we'll accept that. And it's like, okay, now he's wearing a baggy shirt and
Hasn't showered for 10
Hasn't-
minutes.
Now he's
yeah,
walking
hasn't
around.
showered
Now he's
and
walking around naked.
and he doesn't brush his teeth.
Yeah. At what
or
point
like-
does it go like, dude, come on?
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, like where's
I mean-
that line of acceptance, you know?
Yeah. I get you.
So,
And again,
It's
all,
comfy.
It's all about you take a cross section, take like 1,000 people out of the town you live in, and survey them. It's like, at what point would you judge a person differently
yeah.
based on X, Y, and Z? And you could quickly find out
Yeah.
at what you can get away with and what you cannot get away with.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's sort of been fun experimenting with those factors as well. Like you go out on the town in a nice suit versus a baggy shirt, and the
Mm.
venues that you go to, typically it's people are all wearing the same thing in that venue.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
just how culture works. And I always try to fracture it. Like I'll dress up to go to this nice establishment and go to a dive bar. It doesn't really work well in reverse, but it typically works well in that way. But if
Mm.
you dress up for a dive bar and go to a nice establishment, it's hit and miss.
Yeah.
But it's fun. You mix it up.
Yeah.
Have fun with
Yeah.
it.
And it's like, I think we've said this before on the podcast too. If you are in, like, when you're going out and you're doing those things and you're experimenting, let's call it, the people that you do bump into and you meet along the way, when you sit down and talk to them, forget about all the nonsense.
Yeah.
Judge
Hey,
with good
bro,
judgment.
what do you do? How much money do you make?
Skip the 3-minute
Yeah.
transactional
Sit down with
discussion.
them and say, hey, bro, what do you want out of your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah. What do you want to do with yourself?
Talk them through that self-analysis and growth decision. What's
Yeah.
your trajectory?
Yeah.
What's your intention on life?
Yeah.
Who are you and what's your intention
Yeah.
on life?
'Cause you don't-
if you can do that in a discussion,
Yeah.
that's that sugarcoating of medicine. That's a therapeutic discussion
Yeah.
with someone
Yeah.
to ground themselves to who they are
Yeah.
and where they want to get to, and then you can talk them through the framework of how they can get there.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's transformational.
Well, this is the thing,
transformation.
because you
Yeah.
never know who you're
Leadership.
talking through and what they're talking to. Sorry, and you know what they've been through in life. Like, you could be sitting opposite someone who knows something very specific about a certain industry, and they're talking to you, going, oh, "Man, I can see you being really good at this."
Mm.
And like, I know this thing really well, which you probably don't know much about.
Yeah.
I can see you being really good at this. And hey, dude, have you ever considered this?
That's cool.
And having that conversation with a total stranger and getting that sort of like, have you
Yeah.
thought about this? Because I
Yeah.
think you'd be really good at it. You'll go home the next day, and that would have planted a seed that
Oh, for
that
sure.
might flower into something in your life
Transformation.
totally different.
It's happened to me a fair bit,
Yeah.
actually, where I've been out and some people are like, just hold up a second there. Have you ever considered doing this?
Yeah,
And I'm just like, nah, not really.
yeah,
Comedians talk about when sometimes they'll get a feedback. So comedians are great at breaking that pattern of normality and just being wild and throwing people into uncomfortable positions. And I think it was a TED talk of this comedian. He was like his story was he did something funny and then said to the girl something about that guy that then connected them in that funny moment. And then like 10 years later, he got invited to their wedding. And they're like, we wouldn't have met without you doing that thing. And he's like,
Without
I don't
that
even
happening.
remember that.
Yeah, yeah,
but he
yeah.
was just kind of riffing, making people
Yeah,
laugh.
yeah.
But it's a similar kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
like you
Crazy.
don't know the influence that you can have on complete random strangers in
Exactly.
a 5-second interaction.
exactly. Yeah, it's a powerful thing, and it's all about having that positive intent as being that person on the other side who is the stranger talking to another stranger. It can go both ways.
Can go
Like,
both ways.
can.
if you're sitting down with somebody and you have that positive intent, where like maybe you can even experiment.
trust
Like
too.
maybe I'm gonna plant a positive seed in your life. Like I'm like, instead of just sitting
Yeah.
here saying, "Oh shit, that dude's really smart," I'm gonna tell him that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, "Hey, dude, like you're a clever dude. Has anybody ever told you that?"
Mm.
And
Ev-
just that alone, just by saying what you're already thinking
Mm.
in a positive way, makes him feel so much better. And you just change that dude's night.
And that's why listening's so important as well,
Yeah.
because it opens you up to that growth potential. Every time you're talking to someone, think of it as the universe talking to you, because
Yeah.
essentially
It is.
It is. It's their experiences and their life suddenly reflecting and bouncing back into a conversation
What
that
they've-
you're interpreting with your ears into your brain.
It's their
It's their perspective of the world.
and
being shared
and
with
that
you.
could
Yeah.
could grow and expand your knowledge of the world,
100%.
or it could do absolutely
Yeah.
nothing.
Well, it
It's
depends. Like you
But
always,
the fact it's there.
give it a chance.
is
you
the
always got to
gift.
apply your critical thinking
yeah.
on what they're saying and what their opinions are, and in order to form your own. You don't just listen to.
That's why
The people,
I
you
will,
always
I
gotta-
will talk to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Give everyone the time of day.
100%.
everyone has a bit of genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Chris and I went for breakfast yesterday. And like when we always catch up, mood's great. We're always happy. It's always a positive vibe. I'm pulling into a park outside the cafe we're going to breakfast in. And as we're getting out the car, this dude reverses and he starts having a go at me. "Oh, mate, that was my park, blah, blah, blah." And he's giving me a go. And I looked at him and I just said, "Oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I genuinely didn't see you." And then I said to him, I was like, "But there was no need to be rude about it. I'll get in my car and I'll get out. I honestly didn't see you." Suddenly, he just went, "Oh, no, mate, dude, no, honestly, it's all good, bro. I'll find another park. Don't worry about it."
Yeah.
So I could have just yelled at him back and said, "Fuck off."
Yeah.
"Oh, it was my park." But I was like, dude, I'm content. I'm not frustrated. I'll just find another park. I don't care.
Like aggression needs aggression to make a sound.
100%.
Like that's a clap. Like if you're just that fluid, it's like it doesn't do anything and they get nothing out of it. And then they're like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna go over here." If they're looking for aggression,
but I did like, it was just so interesting seeing like the mood change completely when I was so friendly to him. I was like, "That's fine." But then in the same sentence, I was like, "But also there was no need to be rude about it."
Yeah.
But I said it in a nice way.
Yeah, you did.
And he just instantly took that in.
Yeah. I mean,
and just went, "Oh, fuck, he's actually right. I didn't need to
you probably
do that."
you probably didn't even need that second half of
He
the
just wanted
conversation.
I didn't.
He just wanted his
it could
morning
have just
coffee.
been "Oh, look, I'm really sorry. What would you like me to do here?"
Yeah.
"Oh, no, look, that's fine. I'm being a dick." I get it. Sorry.
Yeah. Like if someone said that to me, I would instantly go, "Yeah, he's right. I'm being a dick. Like I didn't need to do that. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Like you rarely find me in a mood where I'd fight back.
Yeah.
Unless I haven't eaten for like 2 days and I like haven't had a coffee in 2 days and I'm like, "Ugh."
Like a girl nearly ran me over in the supermarket the other day.
You're not going to believe this, guys. The Elmo trike bike rider is back. I think he came past on like podcast 1 or 2. There's a guy who dresses like Elmo and rides a trike.
See, that's the sort
pretty
of stuff.
cool.
Like he's just putting smiles on people's faces and
that's right.
changing their day,
Imagine
giving them
all
a
the kids
discussion
walking
point.
around down
How
there
good,
that are
how
like,
good.
"What the hell, Elmo?"
Sorry, what were we
There
talking
could
about
be-
before
there
that?
could
I
be
totally
two
ruined the
strangers-
sentence.
Two strangers walking past,
Yeah.
and then that can be what they talk about and go, "Oh, did you see that?" And then they can end up getting married. Like that's that's what we were sort of talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Nuts.
Well, I think we've discussed quite a few topics here, and it's like I'm actually feeling a lot better after just talking about these things and like discussing
Always.
things that are happening in 2020, some critical thinking, but also realizing that to make that positive benefit in the world, it always starts from within you. So you got to see what you're putting out to the world, and if you can do that positively,
that is
man, your community's going to be better, your life's going to be better. And you're going to be a happy person.
That is an important factor.
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Take time for yourself, and
That's the biggest factor of all.
That's what this
Before you
COVID really
project,
allows.
Go within.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, guys,
give yourself the gift of time.
Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. We hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we do have some interesting things happening in the pipeline, and
stay tuned. They're going to be good.
It's been amazing to see how many things have come up even in just the 12 or 13 weeks we've been doing this. It's amazing to see that when you put one foot in front of the other and you start something, you just got to see where it goes, baby.
It's powerful.
It's powerful. All right, that's it from us here on the Broadwater. We'll see you next time.
See you later.